understand. This is the era we're taking back. Retro revival, it's all coming back. Boombox beats and a VHS track.
What's up, you retro trash pandas, and welcome back to the show. I want you to travel back with me for a second. It's Saturday morning. You've been good all week, and your parents finally say the magic words. Let's go to the toy store. But it wasn't just any toy store. It was a kingdom, a cathedral of fun. You walk through those automatic doors and it hits you. That unmistakable smell of plastic and cardboard, the sound of squeaky shopping cart wheels, and the sight of aisles stacked so high with toys that it almost felt like they were touching the ceiling. From the pink aisle of Barbie to the hum of the video game section in the back, this was our place. This was Toys R Us. For decades, it was more than just a store. It was a core memory for millions of us. But then, it was gone. Today we're going to tell the story of our favorite toy giant. We'll look at its incredible rise, its heartbreaking fall, and its shocking comeback that has Geoffrey the Giraffe rising from the ashes.
I don't wanna grow up, don't wanna grow up. I don't wanna grow up, don't wanna grow up. I don't wanna grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. There's a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. Bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is. I wanna be a Toys R Us kid.
The story begins with a man named Charles Lazarus, who had a simple but revolutionary idea: a supermarket for toys. A place with the biggest selection that was open year-round. He created a wonderland that would define childhoods for generations. Lazarus wasn't just selling toys. He was creating a market of perceived permanence. See, if you loved a toy, you knew it would be there. Not for a holiday rush, year-round. This built a feeling that you could own a piece of that culture, and that belief in the ownership made us loyal. In the 80s, it was the place you went to get your He-Man figures, your Cabbage Patch dolls, or to stare at that glorious wall of NESs, dreaming of that gray and black machine.
Meet Ultra Magnus.
Oh, yeah, Cruiser cheers you up on a gloomy day and does such funny things because Cruisers like to play.
Baby ponies, baby bonnet, full of them. Baby pony loves performing in her leg warmers.
Will you be the one to witness the birth of the incredible Nintendo Entertainment System?
In the 90s, it was absolute pandemonium. This was the era of toy crazes, and Toys R Us was ground zero. Remember begging your parents for the Super Soaker 50? Or the absolute chaos of the Beanie Babies and Tickle Me Elmo stampedes? This was home of the legendary video game wall. You didn't just grab a video game off the shelf. You had to take that little paper ticket to the front counter like it was a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory. They weren't just selling the most popular games. They were even trying to own their own exclusives. Toys R Us made a huge splash by securing special color variants, like the highly sought after golden metallic N64. If you wanted that golden Nintendo 64, you had to go see Geoffrey. They understood the power of a hard to find item, and that feeling of finally getting that N64 or PlayStation game was pure magic. And in the 2000s, the magic continued. It was Bratz dolls, Razor scooters, and the endless battle of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It was where you went to get your midnight release of the new Harry Potter book or the new PS2 game. Geoffrey the Giraffe wasn't just a mascot. He was a symbol that in this one place, that being a kid was the most important thing in the world. But just like in our last episode, convenience came knocking, and it was ready to start a war. Toys R Us found itself fighting a two-front battle that it just couldn't win. First came the big box bullies, Walmart and Target. They realized they could sell the hottest toys for cheaper, sometimes even at a loss, just to get families in the door to buy their groceries and clothing. They used our favorite toys as bait, and it worked. Toys R Us, who only sold toys, just couldn't compete. Then came the final boss, the internet. Amazon offered an endless aisle with just 2 days shipping. Why drive to a store when you could just order it and have it delivered to your front door? Toys R Us was slow to adapt online, and it fell behind fast. But there was a third subtle enemy, the rise of technology. Suddenly, kids didn't want the same things. In the late 90s and 2000s, the must-have item wasn't always a doll or an action figure. It was a Game Boy Advance, a Nintendo DS, or a cheap DVD player. Parents were spending more money on electronics and video games than traditional toys. Toys R Us struggled to adapt its huge retail space to these smaller, high-tech items, and these items were flying off the shelf at Walmart and Target. The definition of a toy was changing, but the RS business model didn't change with it. But that fatal blow wasn't competition or the changing market. In 2005, the company was bought out by private equity firms who saddled the business with a mountain of debt. This wasn't the type of debt that grew from poor sales. It was debt used to fund the buyout itself. It was called a leveraged buyout, or LBO, which basically meant that the stores were forced to pay the cost of its own sale. They were trying to pay off billions of dollars of debt while also fighting a price war. It was an impossible situation. The magic died because of the accountants, not the customer or the changing toy. The magic was gone. In 2018, the unthinkable happened. Toys R Us announced that it was closing all of its US stores. The kingdom had fallen. It was a gut punch to the childhood of millions. For a few years following its closure, Toys R Us was just a ghost, a memory we'd share with our friends. But then, a flicker of life. The brand name was bought by a new company, WHP Global, who believed in the power of nostalgia.
A new 13,000 square foot flagship store opened at Chicago Premium Outlets in Aurora.
Toys R Us has officially opened a new store in a Chicago suburb.
Toys R Us is back.
The toy store giant has reopened its door.
At first, it was small, a few holiday pop-ups here and there. But then the big move came. In 2022, they announced a massive partnership with a store that you least expected, Macy's. Toys R Us was back, and it was setting up shop in hundreds of Macy's department stores across the country. And this year, they're even opening new flagship stores across the country. Geoffrey the Giraffe wasn't ready to give up the ghost. Now, is it the same? No. A section inside of another store, or even the smaller stores they've opened, will never truly replace the giant, magical warehouses they once were. But that's not the point. The new model is called experimental retail. The brand is betting while Amazon may own the transaction, they can own the emotion. You don't go to the new Toys R Us to buy everything. You go for the experience. You go there to take a picture with Geoffrey, or test out a new toy, or to remember why you fell in love with the brand in the first place. It's fighting to bring back the experience. It's smaller, sure, but the spirit is still there. You can walk up, see Geoffrey, and for a moment, you're a kid again. From a retail king to a painful memory to an unlikely comeback, the story of Toys R Us is a wild one. It's a story about how powerful our childhood memories are. So powerful, in fact, that they can literally bring a beloved brand back from the dead. It may not be the giant that it once was, but it's a symbol that the magic of a real-life toy store is worth fighting for. Because in a world that wants us to grow up, some of us are still Toys R Us kids forever. Now, I gotta hear from you guys. Let's fill those comments with good memories. What is your single greatest Toys R Us memory? A specific toy? Or a birthday trip that you'll never forget? Let me know down below. We're just getting started with season 1. So if you're enjoying this trip down memory lane, be sure you subscribe. And as always, the nostalgia doesn't stop here. For more behind the scenes content or regular retro hits, be sure to go over to TikTok and follow me there. I'm documenting the entire rebuild of my retro room. And I'm also sharing some 80s, 90s, and 2000s things that we may have forgotten. The link is always in the description below. It's the best way for us to connect more. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.